Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew Edelman, and I'm the chair of the Eastern Spotted Skunk Cooperative Study Group. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our 2021 virtual meeting. Before I talk more about our group, I'd like to give you just a brief overview of our meeting program today. In our first technical session, which will be at 10:25 to 10:55, we'll have a 20-minute talk on the species status assessment for the plain spotted skunk. That'll be followed by a 10-minute discussion period. Then we'll move straight into our second session, which is on taxonomy, distribution, and occurrence. That will include 5 presentations, followed by a 15-minute discussion period for all those talks. Then we're going to take a lunch break. So from 12:10 to 1:30, you'll have some time to go walk around, get some food. We will leave the Microsoft Team meeting open so that we'll have a platform for professional discussion and a little bit of social time. So feel free to stay on there or pop in if you get done with lunch early. After lunch from 1:30 to 2:30, we'll have our third session consisting of methodology. This will have 3 presentations back to back, followed by 15 minutes of discussion for you to answer questions and talk with the authors. And then we'll finish up our technical sessions with our lightning talks. These are going to be fast and furious. So from 2:30 to 3:10, we'll have 8 presentations. They'll consist of a 3-minute overview of a recorded presentation, and then you'll have 2 minutes for questions with the authors. So probably just about room for 1 question in each of those talks. Finally, we'll finish up with a discussion from 3:10 to 4 o'clock. And this will be time for us to talk about business of the group, but also answer any other questions you might have. For those of you not as familiar with the Eastern Spotted Skunk Cooperative Study Group, I want to take a little bit of time just to give you some background on who we are and what we've set out to do. Our mission statements are listed right there, and you can see that number 1, we want to enhance communication about the species. Second, we want to help identify management and research priorities. And then third, as a group, we want to help facilitate collaborative planning, funding, outreach, monitoring, and research opportunities among our members. So who are we as a group? Well, at last count, we had over 140 members, and they're from all states throughout the Eastern Spotted Skunk distribution. We have a representative in each state at least. This includes 29 state agencies, 24 universities, 6 federal agencies, 3 non-government organizations, and even 2 tribal nations. Our leadership organization consists of a chair, that's me, Andrew Edelman, and my picture's on the upper left there, and then we also have a 3-person advisory committee. The 3 current people on that advisory committee include our past chair, David Jahowski, and you can see a picture of him on the bottom right. Then we have Clint Perkins from Texas Tech, who's up on the top right, and he's the one responsible for organizing this meeting and really pushing it forward. So we need to give him a big round of applause for that. And then we've got Nicholas Sharp here on the bottom left from Alabama Wildlife and Freshwater Fisheries. And Nick has been really instrumental in getting our iNaturalist page up and running and also helping with promotional materials for outreach with the public. If you're not familiar with our group, you may be curious about why it initially formed. And there's a couple of factors that led to our group formation in 2015. Those include documented declines in the populations of eastern spotted skunks across its range, and then that triggering the plain subspecies being petitioned for listing under ESA Act. And then also the rise in monitoring and research that occurred just prior to 2015. A lot of that increase in monitoring was really triggered by the petition under the ESA Act, but also in the rise in camera technology, making it just easier to identify where skunks were and to start locating them for collaring for more detailed studies. If you have more interest in this topic, I encourage you to look at David and my paper that is in the Southeastern Naturalist special issue that just came out, and we talk about this in much more detail and also about the goals and the outcomes that the group has had. Our first mission as a group was to enhance communication regarding the species, and that included communication among researchers and agency personnel as well as the general public. And so we have a number of different vehicles for that communication. First, we have our website, and you can see the link on the slide here, and that gives a lot of general information about the species as well as the group. And then we have a listserv that all group members are a part of, and they get periodic updates about group activities and also interesting publications and other related events and items. And then we have a blog as well that comes out periodically with some interesting photos and videos on the species and research updates. And then we usually do an annual meeting every year at the Southeastern Bat Diversity Network and Mammal Colloquium. We've done this since 2016, and we even were lucky to squeak this in 2020 in February before the pandemic hit. And then finally, we've been able to organize a number of research symposium, one in 2018 at the Wildlife Society and another on 2017 at SBDN. Our second mission as a group was to help identify management and research priorities. The first way we set out to accomplish this goal was to create an eastern spotted skunk conservation plan. And this was written by experts who are also group members, and it gives an overview of the ecology and natural history of the spotted skunk, and also points out knowledge gaps as well as suggests conservation actions. And this was first published in 2018 and was a big effort of David's as our first chair. And then later on, when I was chair, it was revised in 2019 and 2020. It also includes at the end of the plan an appendix with state-by-state information that's very useful if you're looking for who to contact and what's going on in different states. And you can see an example of that for Alabama on the slide here, just what type of information is present for each of our states where the spotted skunk occurs. Another way that our group has been working toward our second mission objective is by facilitating and encouraging publication of research on the eastern spotted skunk. If we look at how much has been published since our group formed, we've seen a massive increase in publication rates, about a 600% increase in the yearly rate of publications since group formation. That is awesome. And most recently, we had a really major effort occur when we had our special issue published just a few months ago in the Southeastern Naturalist. And you can see the cover right here. This included 21 papers on eastern spotted skunk, so a really major leap forward in our published knowledge. Our final mission was to facilitate collaboration on a number of different activities. One of those was, of course, encouraging collection of tissue samples for genetic and disease research, and this has been really successful. We've already have a couple studies that you can see up here that have been published using specimens that have been collected by group members and then sent to those scientists conducting those genetic studies, and we're going to hear from the second one by Zach Bell and Merav Ben David today. Another way we've been facilitating collaboration among group members is by providing promotional materials that they can use to reach out to the public and teach them about spotted skunks and also encourage them to report sightings of the species. And you can see on the right-hand side of the slide here, one of those promotional items that has been replicated in a lot of different states. And then also we've been using an iNaturalist project page that was established by Clint Perkins and Nicholas Sharp to collect a lot of these observations from our states and the general public. To date, that iNaturalist page includes almost 160 observations, and you can see that the coverage is all over the range of the eastern spotted skunks, particularly in the southeastern US, Florida, also into Texas and South Dakota. So it's been highly successful in collecting these sightings. Another way that we've been facilitating collaboration among our members is by encouraging them to combine their knowledge from multiple locations and time periods to help study these broader biological patterns that one group could not do on their own. And so we've got a couple examples from our special issue that you see here on the slide, And these will also be presented here today. One looking at distribution of eastern spotted skunks across the US based on these combined records. And then another one that's going to be looking at the demography of eastern spotted skunks across Appalachia using a number of combined studies. So how can you be involved in our group if you aren't currently part of it? Well, first of all, go visit our website. That's a great place to find information about our group, look at our conservation plan, check out state-by-state information. Second, if that is of interest, join our listserv. You can email David or me and we'll get you on there as soon as we can. We don't send out a ton of emails to the listserv, so you're not going to get inundated. It's pretty selective. Usually I would say maybe 1 or 2 emails a month on average. Check out our blog and do subscribe to it. There's a lot of fun videos and pictures and kind of anecdotal stories and research updates that go out across there. Check out our iNaturalist project page and join if you aren't currently a part of it, and get your sightings up there, and encourage other people to report their sightings. It's a lot of fun, and we have experts that actually go on and look at these photos and confirm that they actually are eastern spotted skunks. Next, if you haven't done it yet, attend an annual meeting. This is a great way to get involved and find out more about what the group is currently doing. Hopefully we'll be back to in-person meetings in the near future, so we'll likely be at SBDN again when they meet. If not, we'll be online again. Finally, get involved. We need volunteers, we need new ideas, and I'm announcing now that I'm stepping down from chair this year, so we're going to need a new chair come January 2022. So if that's of interest to you, reach out to us and put your hat in the ring. We could also use a social media and website coordinator. That's something that's been kind of just something we do haphazardly, so we could really use someone who's more savvy and has time to do this. As far as our future directions, well, that's going to be up to a new chair coming up in 2022. Certainly there's things that we still have talked about working on that we haven't quite got to yet. One is standardization of survey methodology. We've got lots of things going on in different states, different techniques, different cameras, different bait, and so we'd ideally like to do more rigorous testing of those protocols and see if we can come up with something that's more standardized. And then we would also like to see if we could get some more official collection protocols and even perhaps repositories for tissue samples and carcasses so we can further help disease and genetic studies continue for the species. And of course, we have ongoing federal and state conservation status reviews that I think as a group we really need to be at the forefront of being involved in and lending our expertise to. So thank you all for being here today. I'm super excited about this meeting and seeing what comes out of it for our discussions. I wish we could all be together eating pizza like this spotted skunk, but we'll just have to enjoy what we can with the situation that we've been handed here. And if you have any feedback or anything else you'd like to communicate to me, please do so. Have a great meeting.